Hey, it's Keza, also known as Sky Loves Gory Movies. I'm back with day 10, which is yesterday's review, because I'm catching up with things. So it's day 10 of 31 days of favourite movie challenge. And as I said to Ross Wilcock, which is RossiBoy19 on here, if he still uses that name, I told him this on Facebook that I was going to review this movie. And of course, it is the 1985 movie Once Bitten. Now, I have loved this film for a long while. I know, geeky film. This is actually one of Jim Carrey's first ever films. So, and I do like a bit of Jim Carrey. So, here we go with the rundown of who's in the movie and etc. And then I'll get straight on to the review. It stars Jim Carrey, Lauren Hutton, Karen Copens, Cleavon Little, Thomas Balator, Stip Lackey, Richard Stahl, Peggy Pope, Peter Ebling, associate producer Russell Thatcher, casting by Vivian McRae CSA, choreography by Joanne DeVito, production designer Rene Rudolph, edited by Mark Grossman, music by John Duperez, director of photography Adam Greenberg, executive producer Samuel Goldwyn Jr., screenplay by David Hines, Jeffrey Howes and Jonathan Roberts, story by Dimitri Villard, produced by Dimitri Villard, Robbie Wald and Frank E. Hildebrand. 2 seconds. Sorry about that. Movie starts out with someone opening the door and letting themselves in, and then walking to the table, flicking something over, and then walking to the table with what appears to be a rose in his hand, touches a sculpture, and then heads for the stairs, but turns back to adjust a painting of a lady, then turns back, goes up the stairs, goes into the kitchen, looks around and comes out with a glass and a tray, carries it up to the stairs, heads to a bedroom, opens the door, enters, turns on the light, places the tray down, shuts the door, goes and gets the tray from the side, opens the curtains and opens the coffin, but knocks on it first. And then the coffin opens and they both start to talk away. And then takes the tray away, and then there's a knock on the door. 3 people come and they can't find a virgin. So the countess demands to find one, and leaving when and leaves. Then a couple starts to make out, but stops and apologises, and then he walks off. And everyone else is doing it and not them. The next day, Mark talks to his friends about getting laid, and then decides to go somewhere else to try their luck. So they do, and start to drive around and go into a bar and sit at a table with a phone and start phoning up, then goes to a table and finds out that he is a man, and then goes back to his friends. Then Mark gets a phone call to sit with the lady at the bar. So he goes over slowly, and when he gets there, he sees a stunning lady, smiles and says hi. She asks him his name, and asks her name, and she tells him that she's got to call him Countess. And they share champagne together, and then 2 boys get caught with 2 ladies, and then they all hide, and then Mark and the Countess leave and get in the Countess's limousine, and the ice cream truck follows them. Meanwhile, Mark's friends get arrested. Then back at the Countess's place, they enter the house, and then Mark asks the Countess if she's a prostitute, and she says, "I'll be whatever you want me to be," because he said, "Good, I've only got $5. So they go to the bar, and she gives him some wine, and they start to talk some more. And then she gives him more wine, and she says that she's going to slip into something more comfortable. So goes upstairs and calls on Sebastian and tells him to get changed. So he puts some makeup on her, and Mark is downstairs looking at her painting, and she tells him to sit by her and relax, and asks him what he does for a living, and he says he's in college. Starts to kiss his neck and starts to make out with him and bites him, and then Sebastian cuts off a black rose and takes it back into the house. The other vampires start chatting away, and Sebastian says to look after Mark, and he bids everybody a good night, and they all go back into their coffins. Sebastian goes upstairs and Mark is asleep, but then starts to wake up, and Sebastian gives him some orange juice and goes and checks on Mark's truck and asks the Countess what happened. So she tells him, you earned your juice, and that he enjoyed it. And Mark tells her that he has a girl, and the Countess says she liked being the other woman, waves him off, and she will see him in his dreams, and goes back into her house. The next day, Mark asks for an uncut hamburger and joins his friends and asks what happened Saturday night, and that the boys got strip searched, and Mark can't remember anything and runs after his girlfriend and tells her that she went to hers and only remember her ripping off the buttons and Sebastian bringing in orange juice. Then Robin storms off, and Mark is in a classroom that he doesn't belong to, and then leaves. Then someone comes in and asks Mark how he is, and Mark comes out of a box as he was taking a nap and tells him that he must sleep in his bed. So he leaves, and Mark tries to sleep, but the Countess is in his dreams, and they're drinking champagne and lights 2 cigarettes, but she lights it for him and then gives her one, and then she seduces him while he smokes his cigarette. Then they start to kiss, and looks back, sees blood, and then wakes up. And then Robin talks to the girls about Mark, and then Mark asks Robin to talk, but Robin doesn't want to listen, so starts to walk away. And then they start to talk again, and she wants to do it, and they all clap. And then the Countess comes out of the shower, and Sebastian talks to her and makes her laugh, and she's getting worried about Mark. Then Mark and his friends visit a laundrette, and Mark goes for a walk. And at the laundrette, Mark's friends start to chat up women. So one gets lucky, and then another one chats up another lady but gets nowhere, and his friend ends up in a tumble dryer. Then Mark is in a clothes shop and goes and finds Robin, and finds her, kisses her, but bites her lip instead. Then tries on some clothes and finds the Countess in the changing room with Mark. Then throws garments back out, and Robin tries to barge in and then accidentally tells Robin to leave him alone, and then she goes off, and then the Countess bites him again and falls on the floor, and the Countess pinches his butt and walks out with Sebastian. Then the next day, Mark wakes up and drinks some juice, but accidentally drinks the blood instead. Leaves. Then the 2 boys ask Mark for some fudge bars, but the boys run off. Then Mark goes to church and goes to the confession and says his confession, and that she follows him about, and that he thinks that he's changing, and asks what can he do, and he says get a shovel 'cause you're in deep shit. Then Mark gets to sleep and starts to dream again, and it looks like Robin is in his dream, asleep in his bed. Then the Countess opens the door, a bat comes in, and it's Mark, and goes over to Robin, and he bites her on her neck, and the Countess laughs and he howls. Then wakes up and goes to a Halloween party, and they both enter the hall, but bumps in 2 seconds. So sorry, where was I? I'll start from when then Mark gets to sleep and then starts to dream again and looks like Robin is in his dream, asleep in bed. Then the Countess opens the door, back comes in and it's Mark, goes over to Robin and bites her on her neck. And the Countess laughs and he howls, then wakes up and goes to a Halloween party, and they both enter the hall but bumps into Mark's friends, so Mark and Robin start to dance and the Countess cuts in and starts to dance together. Then Robin cuts in and Mark goes back to the Countess and Mark looks back at Robin and the Countess dances off for Mark's affections and Mark is torn in the middle and Mark and Robin kiss and start dancing together. The dance finishes and all cheer for Mark and Robin. Then Mark gets voted best costume and storms off and Robin goes to find Mark. They hug and Mark for a second doesn't see his reflection and that he's a vampire. Robin walks off, then Robin goes and talks with him, talks with a guy about vampires and that a woman vampire exists today and that she needs the blood of a virgin to retain her youth. Robin confronts Mark's friends and tells them that Mark could have a disease, so the boys reluctantly agree to do it and try and look at Mark's thigh and even look in the showers, but Mark doesn't notice at first and then the other boys shout, yeah, you faggots. Sorry, I'm not a homophobe, but that's what happens in the movie. 2 seconds. Sorry, I got interrupted again. So, where are we? Yeah. So they call them like really horrible names in the shower and runs off back at the burger and then runs off back at the burger bar. They're both worried about being called gay when they're not. Then Mark comes by and asks what is going on. Then Mark sees Sebastian take Robin in the limousine and Mark follows them to the Countess's place and gets out of the ice cream van, breaks into the Countess's place, sneaks around and they find Robin tied up and try and untie her and then they see the rest of the vampires and Sebastian gives a speech and then the vampires pull Mark's trousers off and straps him down and the Countess gives a speech and then drinks some champagne and puts him under her spell, rubs her hand on his thighs and tries to bite him. But the Countess is afraid of fire but manages to put Mark under her spell again and Robin takes Mark and runs off and sees the coffin and is haunted. And the vampires follow them, but Mark's friends are captured. Then Mark and Robin are surrounded, but manage to break free, but are surrounded yet again, and Robin punches the vampire and climbs the ladder. Meanwhile, Mark's friends are seduced by the lady vampires. Then Mark and Robin lock themselves in a coffin room. Then the door gets opened. They enter, but no one seems to be there. But on closer inspection, Robin and Mark have actually made out in the coffin. They've actually given each other one in the coffin. Then midnight comes and the Countess gets old again. And Sebastian tells the Countess that he will find more virgins and walks away. Then Robin and Mark sit up in the coffin and they both smoke a cigarette and start to smile. And the Countess says she will never find another virgin. Then Mark and Robin do it again inside of the coffin, and that's the end of the movie. Thoughts on this movie? It's a good one. It's a good one if you want if you want to get your child introduced to horror, or if you want to watch like a comedic element to a horror movie, you know, something that'll cheer you up or something like that, this is a movie for you all, and I highly recommend it. I know it's not for everybody, but it's for people that want a little good old little cheeky laugh, or like they do want to watch a horror but they want to watch some comedic elements at the same time. So yep. Scoring, I'll give it 8 out of 10 for this. Great film, but some bits do get a bit boring in it, but I do enjoy it. I do enjoy a good laugh. So of course stay tuned for day 11, which is today's, but I might do it tomorrow, see how I feel. And of course, stay gory, have unpleasant dreams, and I will see you all soon. Ta-ta for now. Bye.